So here is a quick run through of the art GCSE Pathways assembly that has been presented to the year 8s in the last week or so. And I'm going to give you a quick rundown here so that you can have a look at this at home, maybe share it with parents, or if your parents have a look at the kind of information that was shared with your children in school whilst trying to make their decisions about the next stages in terms of pathways. So this is GCSE Art. The exam board we use is AQA here at Deer Park School. And here's, as I said, a very quick rundown of the kinds of things that you would expect to be doing at GCSE Art here at Deer Park. So a couple of things first to say in terms of our expectations of you coming into year 9 in art at GCSE. Try and arrive with an open mind. One of the aspects of art at GCSE is that you study a huge variation of different mediums and different types of art, and you look at a lot of different things. The whole point in that is that you are exploring the kinds of art that you're interested in, trying to develop a unique individual style, trying to experiment with things that you might not have experimented before, things that you might previously have overlooked in terms of mediums or techniques or styles that previously might have not have caught your eye or been interesting to you. So keep an open mind. You are not going to be fantastic at every aspect of the art that you try, and that's absolutely right and proper. And the idea is that as you go through year 9, year 10, year 11, and you get into your coursework, you develop an understanding of what you're good at and what you're not so good at, and the kind of areas that you want to focus on. So initially, you're going to have a very open mind. Learn from your mistakes as well. It's okay to make mistakes. Art is one of those subjects that actually making mistakes and exploring the way you do things and why you do things is one of the main purposes of choosing art. It's not just about making pretty pictures. Art is not about being perfect every single time. You know, the fact that you don't feel like you can draw or paint in a photorealistic way does not mean you can't choose art, because people have unique styles and not all artists use paint or drawing as a medium. So you need to be understanding of that, but you also need to be willing to give everything a try. We want you to try and develop your own style. The idea is you would leave in year 11 with your own art style that you could take on into later life, and also be prepared to contribute and participate. As I said, art is not just about drawing and painting and creating art. It's also about discussing. The whole point in producing art is to try and get a reaction. It's a reaction from people. It's a reaction from yourself. It's trying to explore, as human beings in this world, why we do certain things, and actually having really, really in-depth, lovely discussions about pieces of art and the impact they have on people is really, really important as well. So please be prepared to do that. In terms of careers, this is always a question that people ask. Art is a creative subject, so there's a huge amount of cross-curricular stuff that you'll take away from art in terms of being creative, in terms of problem solving, in terms of thinking outside the box. But some direct things that you could do within art in the future: IT and software design, art therapy, architecture. If you ever want to go into film and TV or advertising and marketing and publishing, we know there's a huge market out there now for kind of social media and the advertising and marketing sides of businesses. If fashion is something you're interested in, or furniture design or crafts or visual arts, anything really to do with arts and photography and fashion, this is a great starting point for you, and will enable you to develop that creativity, and also crucially as well, develop an opinion. So developing opinion about what you like and what you don't like and the kind of art and design that you're interested in is hugely important for your own kind of later life, whether it's career or whether it's just the life that you live as an adult. Here's a little breakdown here of what you can expect from year 9, year 10 and year 11. We are very lucky at this school that we have the extra year. We have year 9, which not all schools do have for GCSE. So we have that extra year, and that enables us to build up your confidence with certain mediums that you might not have used before. You'll be doing units of work, which obviously involve exploring different techniques and different people and different artists. And you can see an example of a year 9 sketchbook down there on the bottom right, really beautiful example there. In year 9, you'll be doing a little exam as well. All year 9s do exams, but in art, that will be a 2-hour exam where you'll be doing basically creating a final piece of work. And although this won't count towards your final GCSE grade, it's excellent practice for what's to come. And then in year 10, you do coursework. Okay, so in year 10, you'll have 2 coursework units. The themes for those units will be set by AQA. They'll be set by the exam board, so we don't know those yet. But essentially, you'll be doing 60% coursework, which will be creating a portfolio that is supposed to it's supposed to show a journey from your starting point to the end point. And then you'll be doing a 5-hour exam in year 10 at the end of year 10 as well. Now, it's crucial to say now that when I say exam, I don't mean a sit down written paper. The exams in art are exactly that. They're doing art for that amount of time. So you'll be in the art room for 5 hours in silence, creating a final piece, whatever that may take the form of. So there is no actual written exam in art. It is completely kind of practical in terms of the assessment, but isn't completely practical in terms of the coursework. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. And then you see in year 11, you have something very, very similar. So again, AQA will set a brief, 2 coursework units, again, 60% coursework, 40% exam. So your overall final GCSE grade is 60-40. But as I said, that exam there isn't a written sort of writing exam. It is a creating a final piece exam. And you can see in year 11, that exam is 10 hours. So you get a long time to prepare for it, but over 2 days, you will be in that exam in the art room doing that exam over a 10-hour period, which can be quite intense. But the quality of what we get at the end is absolutely incredible. And it should be a culmination of all the things you've learned, all the things you've experimented with, all the things you've investigated over that time. So, you will be prepared for that. That won't be something we'll just chuck you into. Okay. So you can see there across your 3 years what you can expect to do. Okay. Here's an example here of how it's assessed. So you can see here, underlined there, it must include a sustained project evidencing the journey. So you get an initial starting point. That's what the exam board will give you as a starting point, a point of reference to start your investigation. And then your coursework portfolio then shows your journey through that investigation and the things you experiment with. And the culmination is then that final exam where you will then produce a final piece that is the culmination of all of that experimentation and that journey. So you can see there 60-40 in terms of the split there. Okay. Here's an example here of part of a GCSE folder. Okay, so this is part of the experimentation. So you can see that this student here has taken photographs. They have experimented with painting those photographs, and there's obviously some experimentation there in terms of looking at how water can be depicted in imagery. So there's a huge amount of investigation into existing artists and existing photographers, and then her own experimentations on top of that. So that's an example of just one of those portfolio pages, but it gives you a good indication of the kinds of things that you'd have to do at GCSE. So that is not her final piece. That is not her exam piece. That is the stuff she has created as part of her portfolio, and it gives you a really good indication of actually the amount of detail and the amount of work that goes into art as GCSE. Okay. Art is not a subject that you can go into thinking it will be just drawing and painting pretty pictures. The coursework is an absolute labor of love, and it takes the whole of year 10 and the whole of year 11. You have to be really, really passionate about art and about creating art and about researching art and looking at art to be successful in art GCSE. Okay, it is not an easy way out. Okay, you can see there in terms of the amount of investigation, the amount of pieces that have been done. Those beautiful drawings and paintings there are just part of this student's journey. They are not her final piece. So you can see that there. So a huge amount of expectation in terms of what you produce. See the amount of annotation, the amount of writing that goes into those as well. Her beautiful little handwriting there. How you choose to do that is up to you, but there is going to be a lot of annotation. You really have to go into depth when you're looking at your research, how the things you've looked at have inspired you, where that kind of journey comes from. So you need to be willing to do that. Okay. We've got a few frequently asked questions here. So is coursework important? Absolutely. It pretty much is the whole of your course, apart from that final 5-hour and 10-hour exam. But even the exam is as a result of the coursework, the research you've done. So it is absolutely everything to this art. There's a quick question there about manga. We get some people wanting to do art because they like drawing anime, they like drawing manga. Manga and anime is not covered, although it's very popular. It's not part of the course currently. Okay, so if you are interested in doing manga or anime, absolutely come to the art club and do it after school, but it isn't part of that GCSE, so be aware of that. Will I be able to catch up on coursework? Absolutely. I mean, it will almost be an expectation that actually you'll be giving up a fair amount of your free time after school, at least once a week, if not more, to come in and try and improve on your coursework and to get your portfolio as good as it can be. So there is absolutely going to need to be a fair bit of your own time dedicated to this. Okay, it's not easy. How much writing will I have to do in art? Well, you can see, although there's no written exam or there's no kind of essay writing, you see the amount of annotation that has to go into it. So there's a huge amount of writing, and often that's handwriting as well. The exam we've already spoken about. So you do a 5-hour in year 10 and a 10-hour in year 11, and you will be creating a final piece, and you will be bringing in all the things you need. And in that time, you will just create, which will be, hopefully, if you prepared properly, is actually quite a lovely experience, not as stressful. In terms of equipment, we will provide everything that you need for your GCSE art. But if there's anything in particular that you want to experiment with, any particular medium or any particular, particular type of pen or particular type of pencil or whatever it is you want to experiment with, then you are more than able to bring in your own stuff. But we will provide the kind of basics that you need to do what we're asking you to do. So not necessarily if you don't want to, but if you do, then absolutely. Okay, so thank you for listening. Obviously, if you have any further questions, there's a lot more detail in terms of the course in your booklets that was sent out. And obviously, if you want to ask any of these specific questions, or if you have anything that I haven't answered here, then do go and find your art teacher and go and have that conversation with them, because they are the expert and they will know fully what you need to do. If you're still a little bit on the fence and you like the idea of art, but you're not 100% sure if it's right for you, have a chat with your teacher again, have a chat with your tutor, have a chat with your parents, people at home, have a conversation maybe with people that you know. You might have older siblings or friends that are going through the art GCSE now. So just have those conversations and keep an open mind. And like I said, if you have any further questions, come and find us. We're more than happy to answer. Thank you, guys.